Get ready to be intrigued as we welcome you into the fascinating world of our true crime channel. Today, we're delving into the mysterious case of Lacey Spears, the mother of 5-year-old Garnett, who faced chilling accusations in connection with her son's tragic demise. Did she really do the unthinkable? Join us as we explore the haunting questions and concerns surrounding Garnett's untimely passing and Lacey Spears' trial, conviction, and sentencing. A complex childhood and troubling stories. Could the innocent joys of childhood, including a deep affection for collecting Beanie Babies and American Girl dolls, as well as finding solace in the comforting embrace of Seventh Heaven, actually hold the chilling clues to the heart-wrenching case of Lacey Spears? According to Kyle, Lacey's childhood best friend, those formative years were filled with hours of play, creating an imaginative world around these cherished dolls. But Lacey's attachment to her American Girl doll went beyond the norm. She would take it with her everywhere. In 9th grade, Lacey joined the softball team at Parkview Baptist Church and met Paula Sandlin. Strangely, Lacey began calling Paula Mom, a gesture that made Sandlin uneasy. As a teenager, Lacey Spears often weaved elaborate stories that made her friends uncomfortable. She once arrived at church with an ankle brace, claiming she fell while cheerleading due to weakness from not eating, citing a struggle with anorexia. In a similar vein, when Lacey was just 14, she told her friends that she was pregnant and later claimed to have had an abortion, though the details seemed dubious. In another incident, during a church nursery gathering, she took a baby to the front, upsetting her parents and earning a warning. According to Sandlin, Lacey had a pattern of escalating lies, crafting more elaborate falsehoods if her tales didn't get the desired reaction. Despite these concerns, Kyle believes in Lacey's innocence, citing her deep love for her son, Garnett, as evidence of her maternal devotion. Lacey Spears, evolving from babysitter to obsessed caretaker. Lacey Spears, originally from Decatur, Alabama, started her journey in childcare as a babysitter. She later joined a daycare facility, where she had a knack for looking after kids and forming strong bonds with them, providing parents with much-needed relief. One of these parents, Shauna Lynch, initially praised Lacey for her caring nature, noting that her children adored her. However, as time passed, Shauna began to notice a change in Lacey's behavior. Lacey became overly attached and started meddling in Shauna's personal life, raising concerns about her boundaries. Another parent, Christy Burnham, had a similar experience. Christy had known Lacey since their time at junior college, where Lacey took nursing classes before dropping out. At first, Christy trusted Lacey with her son, Cameron, but that trust dwindled when she discovered that Lacey had been telling people that Cameron was her own child. Unraveling Lacey's mysterious partner. In 2008, Lacey Spears became a mother when she welcomed her son, Garnett, into the world. Garnett's father, Chris Hill, was Lacey's neighbor at the time. Despite her strong affection for children and the anticipation of sharing parenthood with Chris, Lacey encountered a challenging situation. It became evident in subsequent interviews and conversations that Chris was not actively involved in their lives. However, this conflicted with what Lacey had been telling others, that Garnett's father was a local deputy in the Morgan County Sheriff's Department named Blake Robinson. Lacey portrayed Blake as a hero who had tragically died in a car crash. In reality, Blake, the person Lacey had described as Garnett's father, was alive and well, currently serving as a sergeant with the Morgan County, Alabama Sheriff's Office. The absence of Chris Hill's active involvement in their lives was due in part to Garnett's frequent struggles with medical conditions. In the light of these challenges, Lacey made a significant life choice. She decided to embrace the role of a single mother, taking on the responsibility of raising Garnett independently. Garnett's health challenges. Garnett faced multiple health challenges from the very beginning. He struggled with severe ear infections and had great difficulty with eating. He would often vomit what he ate, leading to weight loss. Doctors diagnosed Garnett with failure to thrive, but they couldn't pinpoint the reason for his food intolerance. At just 9 weeks old, Garnett had stomach surgery to address this issue. Despite the surgery, Garnett's feeding problems persisted. He was admitted to the hospital for severe dehydration about a week later. and his health continued to decline. He was airlifted from Decatur General Hospital to Birmingham Children's Hospital, where it was discovered that his sodium level was dangerously high at 166, well above the normal range of 140 for infants. Elevated sodium levels can lead to seizures and brain swelling. Doctors managed to lower Garnett's sodium levels, but the cause of the extreme elevation remained a mystery. In an effort to address Garnett's feeding issues, Lacey took him to see more doctors. At 9 months old, Garnett had surgery again, this time to insert a feeding tube, commonly called a G-tube, into his abdomen. This device allowed nutrients to be delivered directly into his body, either through a hanging bag, a bottle, or a syringe. Despite efforts, Lacey explained that Garnett continued to struggle with eating. In 2010, they moved from Alabama to Florida, where Lacey babysat, cleaned houses, and received public assistance to make ends meet. Occasionally, they would return to Alabama for visits. When Garnett was of school age, Lacey decided to move with him to New York. They settled in an alternative community called the Fellowship, about an hour outside of New York City. There, Lacey worked by caring for elderly residents, a job she embraced. Garnett, too, enjoyed the atmosphere, where he could freely roam the community while being closely watched over. Valerie Plausch, a member of the Fellowship, met Lacey and Garnett in 2012 when they moved there. She was particularly fond of Garnett, describing him as a child who could brighten anyone's day and bring smiles to their faces. Despite Garnett's known medical issues, he appeared active and healthy to Plausch. However, his feeding issues persisted, causing stomach pains. Lacey sought help from local doctors to address these ongoing concerns. Lacey Spears' deceptive online presence. During Garnett's illness and his hospital visits, Lacey Spears maintained an active presence on social media, where she openly shared the challenges faced by both himself and her son. Her posts garnered a considerable amount of sympathy and attention, which had been a lifelong desire for her. She didn't hesitate to document her son's ongoing health struggles and unwavering determination with which she managed them. This transparency and her unyielding spirit impressed and engaged her followers, leading to even more attention, something she had yearned for since childhood. It's worth noting that while Lacey's social media presence portrayed a particular image, the reality behind Garnett's tragic death was quite different. Garnett's prolonged illness becoming a medical mystery. Dr. Ivan Derenkoff, a pediatric gastroenterologist, treated Garnett Spears for stomach issues and monitored his G-tube in 5 visits during 2013. During these visits, Dr. Derenkoff found Garnett to be a healthy boy, but the extended use of the feeding tube raised concerns, as Garnett was 4 years old at the time. Dr. Derenkoff discussed the possibility of removing the G-tube during their first meeting, stressing the importance of ensuring that Garnett genuinely needed it for nourishment. Although complex tests to rule out serious diseases were readily accepted by Lacey Spears, simple nutritional evaluations to determine if the tube was still necessary were met with hesitation. Despite Dr. Derenkoff's repeated concerns about the tube, Lacey did not agree to its removal. He also requested Garnett's previous medical records, but has yet to receive them. Garnett's tragic passing. Life at the Fellowship was going well for Lacey Spears and her son Garnett, who had been thriving there for a year and a half. However, everything changed in January 2014, shortly after Garnett turned 5, when he fell ill with a fever, stomachache, and headache. Lacey took Garnett to the pediatrician, but they couldn't determine the cause of his illness. Garnett's condition initially improved, but then he suddenly worsened, experiencing severe stomach issues and pain. He was admitted to Nyack Hospital in New York with seizure-like symptoms. During his hospital stay, a video EEG was set up to monitor his brain activity, and a camera recorded Garnett in the room. Lacey remained there with her son, caring for him. Garnett's condition briefly improved, but then he took a dramatic turn for the worse, experiencing breathing difficulties and severe head pain. Tests revealed that his sodium levels had become dangerously high, reaching 182, which could be fatal. Doctors suspected someone had been giving him salt intentionally, and that person was believed to be Lacey Spears. Garnett was transferred to Westchester's Maria Ferreri Children's Hospital, where doctors worked tirelessly to treat him. They managed to lower his sodium levels, but the damage to his brain had already occurred. Tragically, Garnett was declared brain dead and put on life support. The investigative journey into Garnett Spears' untimely death. An investigation began, with suspicions focused on Lacey Spears, and detectives examined both the hospital events and Spears' home. They found unusual items, including salt containers and feeding bags. Valerie Plausch, a neighbor from the fellowship, was asked by Lacey to remove a feeding bag from her apartment. However, Plausch had second thoughts and informed the authorities. The detectives retrieved the bags and sent them for testing, revealing high sodium levels. During her interview, Lacey Spears denied any involvement in adding salt to the feeding bags and suggested that someone might have tampered with the evidence. Munchausen by proxy suspicions surrounding Lacey Spears. Dr. Derenkoff suspected that Lacey Spears might be suffering from Munchausen by proxy, a condition where caregivers may fake or induce illnesses in a child. However, he didn't report his concerns to the authorities due to reasons. Dr. Mary Sanders, a clinical psychologist, emphasized the importance of reporting reasonable suspicions, as Munchausen by proxy is considered child abuse. Lacey's prolific social media posts also raised concerns. While she claimed that they were meant to inform family and friends, experts like Dr. Sanders noted that the internet's wide audience, including strangers, can perpetuate attention-seeking behavior. Lacey Spears claimed that she didn't have Munchausen by proxy, pointing to a psychiatric evaluation after Garnett's death that didn't find any mental illness. However, Dr. Sanders clarified that the evaluation isn't where the condition is typically identified, as it relies on inconsistencies between reported symptoms and clinical observations. Elevated sodium levels, such as those in Garnett's case, are not uncommon in Munchausen by proxy child abuse. Lacey Spears' trial and sentencing. 5 months after Garnett's tragic death, Lacey Spears faced charges of second-degree murder and first-degree manslaughter. She was held without bail throughout the legal proceedings. Lacey's defense argued that Garnett's death was a result of medical mistakes made by Nyack Hospital. They contended that changes in Garrett's diet and medical treatment led to his deteriorating health. However, the prosecution painted a different picture. They claimed that Lacey had deliberately poisoned Garnett with salt through his feeding tube while he was in the hospital. The evidence they presented included a video recorded at the hospital, which they believe showed Lacey's involvement in the alleged poisoning. During the trial, the defense emphasized that there was no direct evidence linking Lacey to the alleged crime. They questioned how Lacey could have added salt to the feeding tube with the bathroom door open, and suggested that the police mishandled evidence, including the feeding bags found in Lacey's apartment. The trial culminated with a guilty verdict for depraved indifference murder of a child, leaving Lacey, her family, and her attorneys stunned. They plan to appeal the decision, arguing that the jury may not have fully comprehended the charge of depraved indifference murder. In April 2015, Lacey Spears was sentenced to 20 years to life in prison. The judge noted her mental illness, Munchausen by proxy, and combined punishment with mercy by not imposing the maximum sentence. Lacey continues to maintain her innocence, emphasizing her love for Garnett. She will be eligible for parole in 2034, at the age of 46. As we conclude this heart-wrenching tale, our hearts carry the lasting memory of young Garnett Spears and his enduring struggles. Let this story serve as a poignant reminder of the significance of our awareness and the need to recognize those who may be silently grappling with mental health challenges. Neglecting their plight can have devastating consequences, leading to the loss of innocent lives. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell